System riding to the core. Yeah. Reppin' inner city left. This is the Inner City Left broadcast. Today is Monday, June 23rd. I am Amin TMK alongside Amoja, Lil Tanky, Sumler. Amoja, hello, my friend. Happy Monday. How are you doing?
It is Monday.
I spit nothing but facts.
Spicy ass weekend. Spicy ass Monday.
I think we're in for a spicy week, wouldn't you say?
Maybe spicy the rest of our lives.
Yeah, so spicy we might die. Okay, let's dive into this because of course everyone has an opinion on all the things. So let's start with this. This past day, 2 days ago, yesterday, whatever it is, the United States hit the Iran quote unquote nuclear sites with bunker busters. I'm putting this in quotes because, again, I don't know the proper terms for this. I'm sure you can help me out. Can you tell me kind of what happened, what your thoughts are on it? And yeah.
So the United States has this ordinance, right, which is a name that they use for bombs and missiles and weapons and such, that is affectionately referred to as the mother of all bombs, the Moab. Find that ironic that the only place that they continue to be used is the Middle East, right? Moab used to be, actually, Moab was where Jordan was in the Bible. So, yeah, right? That's where the Moabites were from. But it's the GBU something or fucking other. It's the bunker busting bomb. It's a 30,000 pound bomb. And Trump's the only president, to my knowledge, that's ever fired it. He fired it in the waning days of the Afghanistan conflict just to demonstrate the power of the weapon. And now he's utilized up to what he says is 6 against the Fordo nuclear facility that is embedded in a literal mountain that is 90 meters deep into the mountain and earth. Yeah. This is supposed to be the most powerful non-nuclear weapon in the world. And the way they're running the op is like Star Wars. Oh, the brave pilots fired what missile? It went down the ventilation shaft. Like, I mean, y'all are literally trying to run this shit like the Death Star. This is grown up World War III stuff. And y'all are literally trying to crib Star Wars propaganda into what is undoubtedly the most blatant act that really affirms World War III is here, in an open way, in a way that Americans would recognize, right? Because the irony is Americans love war, but have very little understanding of what war is. You know, economic war. There's soft power, cool wars. I mean, there's so many, but it's not, you know, Americans think tanks and aircraft carriers and planes, and, you know, explosions, right?
I was just going with the sound. I was trying to do your ad-libs.
Right, yeah, no, and that's an aspect of war. It is, but war is expansive. But this is war in the traditional sense. And then, you know, in traditional fashion, right, they bomb Iran. They come out like the 4 horsemen. It's Pete Hegseth, the vice president.
J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance.
Mascara.
Trump, and motherfucking
Marco
secretary
Rubio.
of, used to be, yes, of state.
The secretary of the White House where he stays.
Man.
He don't get to go on the fancy twips. You know?
Either ironically or unironically representing this 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Yeah, we bombed the nuclear site, like dead ass, you know, visions of Trump, of Bush, you know, mission accomplished, you know, like that's it. Like you hit somebody and that's it, you know. Under all the rules of war now, right? The United States has declared war on the United States. The only thing that's different, and this is the funny thing, right? The Democrats, well, he didn't go to Congress first. Well, y'all gonna vote no? No, none of you were, you know, or not nearly enough of you to not let the resolution pass. There'd have been 1 or 2 symbolic
Why are people
sheepdog.
still asking for this?
You know
That's
what I'm
already,
saying?
it's a precedent that has already come and went.
Like in
There is, of course, I
1776, man.
I wish that this was the law that they upheld, but we already know last year during the Biden administration, the Supreme Court expanded the president's ability to enact basically whatever he wants to do. So I don't
And,
understand what the point is anyway.
and let's be honest, he's providing political cover for them because now none of them ever have to be on the record with a vote, which would have assuredly been yes. Okay. Even your little darlings like AOC and these little pretend liberal Democrats, pretend progressives, they would have all voted for this. Everybody that's taking AIPAC money would have voted for this. Okay. So, like, move away from this fantasy. Oh, it would have been different under Kamala when Kamala was literally enabling a genocide. Okay. This is way less provocative than a genocide.
She said
It's
Iran was our
war.
biggest. She said Iran was our biggest enemy, like literally October of last year.
It shows a lack of seriousness if this is any part of your conversation, you know, and I'm just not going to engage with that. But
Yeah,
at any
let's
rate,
not even. Yeah. No, go ahead. Yeah, but the Kamala thing is, it's like, dude, like we have proof, we have receipts, it's available right here. Like in any of that type of stuff, I think is just, again, to blame people for not going out there like little drones to vote for the Democrats,
Yeah.
which is not going to happen. Vote third party, and that's all I got to say on that. And I'll give it right back to you.
I want to speak from a legalistic point of view, okay? Because you don't need to assume that any of these are my personal views or inner city left's personal views. You know, from a legalistic point of view, a country that was a member of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty was bombed, okay? Their nuclear sites, which are protected under international law and as a signatory of the NPT, by another NPT member, the United States of America, on behalf of a non-NPT member.
Who
Israel.
has nuclear weapons?
Now, people act like, you know, the NPT is the framework that people use and there's a way. It's not actually. It really isn't a framework for anything. First off, the NPT has nothing in there, in their body framework, that says how much you can enrich to and what you can't enrich to. So that's something we need to just say out the rip, okay? All the NPT means is whatever I do with my nuclear technology, I'm not going to make a weapon, okay? Most Westerners don't even know, regular random people, that Iran is actually one of the world's leaders in nuclear medicine. Yes, nuclear medicine is a field of medicine, right? They're only able to do this from the enrichment activities that they've been conducting over the past 20 years. One of the leaders in the world. Okay, so yeah, you know, but then from there, I think it's important to acknowledge there's only one, up until today, country that's left the NPT that has a nuclear weapon, and that is North Korea. I say up until today with no existing knowledge, but we do know that after these attacks, Iran officially left the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty because to them, what the fuck is the point? Like, if we're going to allow you guys to come in and search all of the technology, right? You know where everything is, you know.
And we know those guys are spies.
And we know those guys are spies.
That's not fair. See, this is the thing we talk about with the West. Nothing is sacred. You guys are supposed to bring people in to check, to make sure that we're not doing bombs. Yeah, exactly. Just to make sure, just professionals, that we're not supposed to be politicized. And they were literal spies. So why would we trust you?
And this isn't the first time, right? Countries, this is what I'm saying. When countries are watching these things, right? Because this dude that made the proclamation, okay, that was allowed to be perverted by everyone else, saying that enrichment percentages at Iran are higher than they've ever been, blah, which is true, but still not nearly enough to make a nuclear weapon, to the best of my understanding of what nuclear weaponization of uranium looks like, which is not that much, okay? This is the same dude that was operating in Ukraine, where Zelensky is literally trying to bomb on the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, and he's putting out these statements that are saying, well, it's coming under fire. You know, and the Russian Federation is like, yeah, but from who? Well, it's coming under fire, leaving that ambiguousness.
Sounds like a Creed song.
right? That somehow the Russians are like bombing a nuclear facility that they themselves have owned, right? It is the same the chief of the International Atomic Energy Agency, right? That then watched Ukraine try to invade Kursk to try to take over the Kursk nuclear power plant. No condemnations, no nothing, right? That watched Ukraine fly drones at Chernobyl, said nothing, right? I mean, so like that shows the inherent politicization of this body. And that's why, this and many other reasons are what lead me to believe Iran's like, no, fuck this. We're done with this. We tried to do this way. Now, there are some interesting countries that were never part of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. India, Pakistan, Israel, and all three of those nations have nuclear weapons, right? Again, something that that Iran has to look at. Pakistan is their neighbor. There was no one that ever verified anything with their nuclear program. Same thing with India. I mean, all of these countries are well within missile range of Iran. Iran has never had the right to proactively go and bomb their stuff out of fear of what one day might happen, with the right regime coming into power. Maybe they want to kill all Muslims, and that's an existential threat, right? And I just want to compare and contrast that because that's been the argument that the Americans have used. And it's starting to get dangerous because the United States helps Israel bomb a nation, right? And then immediately demands that this nation do nothing back in retaliation. Meanwhile, all the Europeans are chirping in, popping off, as Barack might have said. You know what I'm saying? You got Keir Starmer talking about an attack on the Americans will be registered as a Article 5 in NATO. Like, wait, what? So your NATO freaking hit me, and you see what I'm saying? I mean, and that's where we are.
I don't usually talk about Donnie J or whatever, but I thought that this was interesting. Interesting in the way of this, because I'm going to preface this. It's a ridiculous statement. Okay, so we talk about Dmitry Medvedev often here. Okay, Dmitry Medvedev is the former president of Russia. Okay,
but he's still part of the Russian Security Council.
And he's still
very powerful man,
huge national
hero
figure. Hero. Yeah, you can say hero, but certainly national figure. Okay, he's not to say he's not polarizing. I'm just saying this is a person that has an enormous amount of pull within the Russian culture and the Russian apparatus. Yeah, and the country and the people themselves. Okay. So he basically said, he tweeted the other day a couple different things, but one of the things he did say is, don't be shocked if a nuclear country helps Iran build a nuclear weapon, okay? So I think that got under Donnie J's skin. And I bring this up just because, remember when we talked about Joe Biden, the former president, something for the big guy, Joe Biden, yet he was not cognitive. His cognitive abilities was waning. He was becoming senile. You had mentioned the word dotard a few times, but Donald Trump is in it also. He's in this world as well. And his followers or whatever, the MAGA people or whoever, they don't want to acknowledge that this guy doesn't know what's going on. So I just want to show you this. I don't know what the heck is going on. Check this out though. Boom.
All right.
So I want you to can you read this to the people? This is Donald J. Trump from whatever.
For all of y'all listening in on the podcast, this is a tweet from I think it's a truth.
Don't even say. Why would you even say? It's just stupid social media that no one uses but him.
No one uses. Okay. All right.
Anyway,
so here we go.
Okay.
Donald J. Trump at real Donald Trump. Did I hear former President Medvedev from Russia casually throwing around the N-word nuclear and saying that he and other countries would supply nuclear warheads to Iran? Did he really say that? Or is it just a figment of my imagination? If he did say that, and if confirmed, please let me know immediately. The N-word should not be treated so casually. I guess that's why Putin's the boss. By the way, if anyone thinks our hardware was great over this weekend, far and away the strongest and best equipment we have 20 years. advanced over the pack is our nuclear submarines. They are the most powerful and lethal weapons ever built and just launched the 30 Tomahawks. All 30 hit their marks perfectly. So, in addition to our great fighter pilots, let's also thank the captain and his crew.
Okay, so first, there's a lot to unpack here, but let's unpack what the most.
Word, man. We got a new N word. And
bring it up.
it's not that you can't say it. It just shouldn't be said casually. Okay.
Nuclear. What the heck, man? Okay. All right. Here's what I think is the meat and potatoes. Boil and mash them, stick them in a stew of this. You are threatening Russia with nuclear submarines. I mean, that it is, like you said, you mentioned this earlier to me. They are one of the most dangerous weapons in the world today. And the United States, again, remember we talked about them giving the nuclear submarines to Australia.
Yeah,
I guess we just giving away nuclear submarines. I guess that's fine.
It's okay when the West does it because they're
Right.
good and righteous and blessed by God. God bless, buddy blessed Israel after the attack before he blessed America. It's like God bless America. Like, damn, bro, you need to listen to Bush, man. He quick with the God bless America. Let the rest be said without being said.
Let's keep this fun. Let's keep the little fun train going because it's scary times, but there's been a lot of silly thing. I want to show you something else.
Wait. Let me just say this though. One more thing.
All right.
These motherfuckers are subtweeting like it's YSL gang shit. It really is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like all of the Iranian tweets out there. I mean, everybody talking real reckless right now. And it just goes to show how much of the war is psychological, how much psychological operations are happening, often called psyops on both sides. Medvedev is one of the most, let's say, serious men in the world. And we have the president of the United States subtweeting this dude, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a rap beef. This shit is dangerous. Like the United States, no matter what the quality of our nuclear stockpiles are, Russia by far outnumbers them. I don't know what the greater qualities of, this is a fourth-gen nuke and this is a third-gen. I just know nukes are bad. Okay, even if a country had just the regular ones that were used on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, if they had 100 times more than the Americans did, that's dangerous. Like Russia has way more nuclear weapons, and like this kind of Twitter brinksmanship, it is dangerous as hell. I just needed to say that.
You can't win a nuclear war.
I mean, that's what we understood.
And this is okay. So here's the thing, because this is you told me this, and this messed my mind up. The United States has a plan. They've had a plan for what happens in a nuclear war. That's not okay. That's not all right. Like no one else is doing this. This is what the whole thing with Iran not building a nuclear weapon or trying to work it out, because for them it's like, first of all, they're very expensive. They're dangerous. They're religiously ambiguous. And you can't win. Any normal person knows you can't win a nuclear war, but these people are crazy. These people are hell-bent on hegemony. They're hell-bent on hegemony. Okay, so they have lots of little puppets, right? So let's talk about the puppets. Liza P. All right. I'm just going to play this. I'm going to let you respond to it. Just because, again, I think you guys have to,
people already
I think people have to acknowledge that the propaganda machine is at an all-time high. And not only that, the propaganda machine is not good right now. The propaganda machine it didn't build up the way it built up in Iraq. We didn't have a 9/11 per se. I don't even want to get in conversation about exactly how that went down, but the propaganda now is just kind of thrown together. So here you have the exiled crown prince of Iran. Okay, what is this? Reza Pahlavi. Okay, this is on Fox News. Okay, and we know this is the mouthpiece of Trump and all this other stuff. So let's go ahead and let this rock.
The minute this regime disappears, everything changes instantaneously. And I know a lot of people are already excited about the prospect of being able to help us rebuild our country. Wow. And make Iran great again.
Make Iran great again. This is the type of propaganda that they're throwing in our faces right now. You know, I mean, okay. Do you want to respond to that, or should I just keep it moving?
What in the Syriana fuck is this? Like, this is what I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. Like, this dude exists somewhere between Juan Guaido, okay, and the Dalai Lama. Fucking clown. Like, you don't even live with your people. Like, you're not from Iran. You know, this is worse than the Marcos, because the Marcos at least nominally claim to be presidents. This dude is the exiled crown prince. Buddy, you can't be the crown prince and exiled. You can be exiled member of the family. You might even say prince, son of the Shah. You know, son of the Shah is more accurate. Former Shah, even more accurate still. But like, this goes to show the hypocrisy in all of this. Whatever you think about the government of Iran, they are nominally something where people vote for people. You can say, oh, well, the Supreme Council, ultimately they get to determine that. Look, man, people go out and people vote. Who the fuck votes for a king? And this is the person we trying to regime change? We trying to change that to put in a king who, by the way, has spent his entire life living in Israel and living in America. How would you expect reasonably the people of Iran to react to this guy? What do you think? You're sending this guy to his death. That's the bottom line. Because no one in Iran will like this guy, will respect this. He will not make it. You get drunk off your success sometimes, right? They got, you know, the head chopper in chief in Syria, and, you know, they able to pass him off into the world like a legitimate man. Pahlavi, man, no one in Iran wants to see this guy come back. Nobody is aching for the return of the Shah. It's a literal fantasy. And this is the language, by the way, that was utilized in the Gulf War, too, by the way. You know, when you had the dude, like, the moment you get rid of Saddam, you know, everything is going to change, and they're going to embrace us with arms wide open, like a fucking Creed song. That's not real, man.
Two Creed references.
Wow, that happened.
Sorry, I need to stop your momentum. Please continue.
No, that's it. I mean, this dude is he's a clown. He's an embarrassment. He's a joke. He's a sellout. No one wants to see him.
This is what the West wants. They want General President Sisi in Egypt. They want speak Arabic with an English accent, King Abdullah. They want where the money at? Money bags at Mohammed bin Salman. How about the money bag UAE, Emiratis? And what about the Qataris? Oh, yeah.
Oh, let's not leave talk tough and do nothing Erdogan out. They love those kind of leaders.
Of course. I'm just talking about the Middle East.
You just give it to the Arabs. I got you.
You know, we like to keep it. What do we say? We keep it in demographic. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you have all this. These are the leaders that we're supposed to have. So now, in whatever is like the closest to some sort of real democracy in the quote unquote Middle East, which Iran in the Middle East, you know, it's weird. These terms are really not even making any sense. But anyway, now you're going to put the crown prince in there too. So you're threatening Russia with nuclear bombs, and you're threatening to bring the son of the Shah back to remove democracy from Iran. This is what the United States is bringing. This is the plan. Okay. So I just wanted to do this because, again, it's ramping up, y'all. It's ramping up. So one more thing. Let's just talk about the liberals. Are the liberals pushing back against the war? Let's hope that they are. This is Van Jones. We've had him on here before. He's definitely a liberal mouthpiece. I'm going to hope we're going to talk a little bit about de-escalation. So let's just take a listen.
Underestimate how dangerous Iran is. Iran is not a normal country. Normal countries don't blind women because they showed some hair. They don't empower little gangs and proxies to surround a country and fire rockets and rape people. So Iran, the two things are clear. The what, they cannot have a bomb, and the why, because they say death to America, death to Israel, and death to all the Jews. One of those should offend you if you're progressives. At least one should offend you. And so the question, though, is the who and the how. Is Israel going to take out this nuclear capacity by dropping people there who blow it up? Or is America going to take it out by dropping a bomb that blows it up? But the what and the why are clear, and I think progressives should get on board with that. We cannot have a nuclear-armed Iran. I was in the region. You were in the region. This is
Your thoughts?
In the region, what does that mean? You was in Tel Aviv?
Yeah.
Is that in the region?
Yeah.
Right? So also, right, when people talk about patriarchy, they imagine human beings on an individual level, right? As opposed to seeing patriarchy as like a living creature that lives, breathes, moves, right? And has its own desires to exist. Who gives the West and the Americans the right specifically to tell what countries can study what, right? Never mind the fact that this is just a straight up hit job. I mean, they're raping. What? Right? I mean, that's how you know.
Listen,
it's
bro,
straight up
I know you
lie.
don't know much about geopolitics, and I know you don't know much about Iran, but in Iran, women are blinded when they show their hair. Blinded.
There's women with their hair out in the streets of Tehran begging the supreme leader to make a nuclear bomb right now. That's real, okay? Women being blind, they didn't seem to have no blinds over their eyes. It wasn't Elden Ring. She wasn't sitting off somewhere with a little wrap over her face because they blinded her eyes, but her hair was down just like my hair.
They're funding and supporting these little gangs like the Palestinian Resistance. These
If
little
you're
gangs.
a progressive, one of these things should offend you. Man, you a fucking clown, bro.
They say death to all Jews. Like, okay, I just want to say, like, again, I hate to address stuff like this because it's so ridiculous. But even the supreme leader, like, said, when we say death to America, we mean death to American politics, death to American hegemony, death to dropping bombs, death to violence. Like, this is what the world means when they say, quote unquote, death to America. I don't even, get this kind of stuff. But again, it goes back to slogans. You talk about it all the time. Slogans, death to all Jews. What
I'm forced to remind everybody once again that the largest population of people that claim to be Jews that can trace themselves back to the Bible that all these Christians seem to worship is Iran.
Death to the Jews in their country, man. This is also a country in where the Instagram, what do they call the Instagram graphic that Iran killed 15,000 protesters in one day widely around the country because
how do they
people
do that?
believe
Did they
this.
mobilize their entire army? Do you understand how hard it would be to kill 15,000 people in one day? Like, again, these are just ridiculous numbers, and people say them and they repeat them unironically without interrogating any of the reality of how this is done. The place where the most people die on earth every day by hands of the government is the United States of America. And I can't think of a day, even in the United States history, where they killed 15,000 people in one day. Like, even if we were to go back to the heart of the frontier times with the American army being utilized in a theater of war against women and children, against the brave Great Plains Native Americans, I don't think they ever killed 15,000 in a day.
It's a silly notion, and it's silly to believe. It's like saying that Assad is the one who gassed his own citizens. Why would he do that?
Strategic game. What would you gain by that?
The only thing, because it's why was Ukraine invaded, you dummy? It's because Putin got up and he was mad and he was upset and his mommy didn't hug him. And that's what they wanted. I wish I was your mom, Vladimir Putin, so you wouldn't go to war. And
you brought up an interesting point.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have compared what's happened in Iran over the weekend with what has happened with Russia and Ukraine. And to which I say only this. Ukraine has never, ever, Iran has never been part of America. Never. Like, it's never been part of America. Ukraine was part of Russia before I was born, after I was born, while I was alive.
When I was born, it was still there.
So that's just, you cannot compare these situations. And again, I weep for the people that lack enough geopolitical depth to be able to make these very simple arguments. I know it looks similar because, oh God, war, but the motivations could not be more different. And by the way, we've been finding there have been reports, right? Sustained reports of numbers of Ukrainian agents in Iran destabilizing. In fact, I was reading a report of some were hung earlier today, which again sounds very brutal, but spies die in war. Who cares the how, right? Like, would it have been more humane if they would have been shot? If they would have been given a gas chamber? If they'd have been given a lethal injection? What would have been the more humane way to deal with the spies that, by the way, are being caught red-handed, planting drones all through the country, blowing up television stations, blowing up the what is it called? The Red Crescent. These are the things that these infiltrators are doing in Iran right now. This is the way this war is being fought. It's a dirty hybrid war. They've learned from what happened in Ukraine, and they've refined it, even though they still reusing a lot of the same tactics.
And from reports I see, there's no change in nuclear capability from these strikes. So what really was gained other than a little, hey, everyone, look what I did. The anti-war president right now ready to go all out. I want to show this one last thing before we start getting out of here. Just because I think it's important for people to see this.
Van Jones is an op and a piece of shit. He's got it there.
Right. I'm just saying he's a liberal mouthpiece. This is what the Democrats were saying, hashtag close the skies. Close the skies in Ukraine, which is not possible to do unless you go into full out war with Russia. They don't understand what's happening. And I just want to show this because this is a map of Middle Eastern countries that the U.S. has bombed since 2016. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, at least. There's 8 blue. Does China bomb people? Does China bomb other countries? Even Russia, who's in a full-on hot war with Ukraine. Again, don't get involved in civil wars. These are thousands. These are 12-hour flights from Washington, D.C.
Special military operation.
Sorry, special military operation. Thank you so much. But regardless, they've already mentioned that they may have to go to war with NATO. The Keir Starmer already, talking about, we treat Israel like they're a part of NATO. You already have, people in the, I think it was in the German parliament that was like, we're willing to lay down our lives for Israel. So I think, again, when you look at the countries that are all on board with this, let's see, United States, Canada, the UK, France, Israel. Is there any through line here that we see that these white countries are just constantly the ones that are? And again, why can't countries have nuclear weapons? I don't understand. 70-year-old technology.
Yeah, and this is why the language of the new crusade continues to reverberate around the world, especially in the developing world in the Middle East. Right? You have a Secretary of Defense who wants to be called the Secretary of War with a tattoo of Deus Vult on his forearm, which is God wills it, which is, as we've talked about on this show several times, ties back directly to the Crusades.
And infidel. Let's not forget that one as well.
And infidel, right. So these are people that are deeply racist, deeply prejudiced people, deeply Christian evangelical who want to see the end of the world, and they feel like to do that, they have to force a battle over Israel, right? Without ever they don't look at, to them, when you start talking about like ethnic reality and human rights and, human rights, they see that as liberal bullshit, right? To them, Israel exists, and they'll do anything to make sure that it continues to do so. and no one else has a right to punish their colony. And they will do up to and including nuclear war to defend the colony. Why would a German ever, what has that got to do with you? What's happening in Israel right now? You know what I'm saying? And everyone wants to say, oh, the Holocaust, dummy. Well, if Germany really felt that way about it, Germany could have literally created a protected space for the Israelis that live there as a perpetual recompense, right? And that sounds extreme, right? Except for the fact that Russia does. Russia has an oblast that is a protected oblast that is filled with nothing but Orthodox Hebrew. So that they have a cultural place where they can be in Russia and practice just like in Dagestan, Russia, and other parts of the country. Like, Germany's never done any such thing. What they did was they disenfranchised Palestinians by the hand of a gun, the point of a gun, and have aided and abetted, essentially human rights violations ever since then. It's not that Israel is under threat. Israel continues to threaten their neighbors, and that's what that map shows. That's what that map shows.
Yeah. And this is the fog of war. We're in the middle of it. We don't know what's going to happen. There's lots of reports. Again, we do know things. We have confidence in things, but we can't always talk about things. Even the F-35, dude, that's still not been a confirmed
but
thing.
I'm seeing more and more reports about it, and I'm seeing
of
more
course,
Of
course, all I'm saying is they're going to hide the truth. They're going to obfuscate the truth. They're going to obfuscate the news. And as we consume certain parts of the news, as much as you possibly can, unfiltered. But, we have to see through the fog of propaganda.
Right.
Because there's been quite a lot of it.
100%. And I just want to say again, we are a geopolitical broadcast. We are not here to bring you breaking news. Like, even as we're recording this, there are stories about missiles over Qatari airspace, which is an apparent retaliation, right? But we haven't gotten to the bottom of what exactly is going on with that. We will have more for that once we've been able to get into the weeds and to dissect the truth from the bullshit. Because as we said, even when you're talking about the propaganda wars between the president and Medvedev, I mean, there is just so much propaganda out there. It's almost impossible to know at the spur of the second what's real and what is not real.
Yeah, so just to give us some time, we will do the best we can to vet it with each other, and of course the ICL squad. Just want to also, acknowledge that, Israel is still getting hit. It's not like, they again hitting military targets, hitting Iron Dome, hitting the Mossad building. Iran is pulling up.
Literally made it a criminal act to videotape all of the impacts that are happening in Israel right now, to make it look like nothing's happening. I mean, it's Israel's strategy right now is the ostrich in a hole strategy.
Until they stop.
If no one can see it, and they're talking about Iran wants a ceasefire, I think quite literally it's Israel that wants that ceasefire right now. And how could you trust it? How could you trust it? At this point, what even does de-escalation look like? Should Iran go to... I just don't think this is the new normal. I don't think that it's going to get much less extreme than what's going on right now.
While Israel continues its Holocaust in Gaza, and the annexing of the West Bank, still happening. It's not like their empire or their colonial, murderous expansion is stopping. It's still continuing. So, this is still
Israel project.
Exactly. Which is, it just goes back to stuff that I'm not saying making up, but like stuff from 2000 some years ago. The world has changed radically several times since then. And we're not buying it. And the people aren't buying it. This is a very unpopular war in America right now. And I hope that people continue to push back against it.
To watch out and out racists like Sean Strickland going harder against this than quote unquote self-proclaimed liberals.
Like Van Jones. I'm just saying that's what they're on. Let's not forget what's the dude, Amy Schumer's uncle, Chuck Schumer. And he's like, you know, we don't want Trump said he's having a secret deal with Iran. We don't want them going, having secret deals with Iran. What? You want this escalation?
Let's be very honest. It was the Democrats that came up with this stupid acronym. Trump always chickens out, this taco thing, which is, I mean, Trump is so Marty McFly. You call him a chicken, and now he has to do it to prove that he's a tough guy. Because, he likes to go to the UFC sometimes.
Yeah.
That's what fascists do.
The liberals,
they are.
The liberals are pro-war. They want this. The conservatives, the MAGA people, I mean, whatever the individuals may be in MAGA, I guess maybe they don't want it. I don't really know. I don't really care. You guys voted for this dude. You should have known.
I can't speak for
what's happened. Yeah, we can't. But this is y'all guy, and this is what you need to do.
Y'all need to own this.
You need to own it, just like the Biden's thing. Okay, Biden was a terrible president. He was a bumbling idiot. Had nothing. His corrupt family was running like a mafia organization. The same thing with Trump. So what have we been saying for quite some time? If you're going to enter into the electoral space, let us focus on third parties. Get away from Democrats. Get away from Republicans. Get away these companies. These
only differences will continue to be stylistic, but the foreign policy from the Americans does not change, whether you're talking about a Democrat or a Republican. And that's just the bottom line. And all of it's fake. We live in a city where the mayor was disgraced and taken away from power because of a cocaine scandal. But we live in a world where Macron, Merce, Starmer, all on a train, tooting a Rudy doing lines. It's the same world.
Yeah. Let's give a shout out to our podcast listeners. We're available everywhere you find podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Follow our Patreon. Support us there, patreon.com/InnerCityLeft. We are on, I believe we just hit over 100 members. So it is a lovely budding community. We thank you guys. And I want to give a shout out to music. We always got our music out there. Amin TMK, Lil Tanky, search that on whatever you utilize for your music. Fables, Foibles, and Other American Sins, available on innercityleft.com. We appreciate the likes. We appreciate the subscribes. We appreciate the comments, even if it's just, hey, here's something for the algorithm. And, you guys are the best, and we want to make it through. I don't want to die in World War III. I want another outcome, if there can be such a thing. Tanky, final things. What did we miss before we get out of here? We appreciate y'all staying a little longer.
I'm from the hood. I'm from a place where if you hit me back, you should expect it. If you hit me, you should expect I'm going to hit you back. Anybody that thinks Iran is not going to defend itself, it just doesn't live in the same reality that I'm in. That's inevitable. And it was always inevitable. The only thing that is uncertain is what's the level of retaliation, because they have so many levels of escalation they can go to. I don't think they have escalation dominance, because ultimately they're not Russia or China. But at the end of the day, sometimes the little guy just has to hit you until it hurts. And Iran can hurt us. And de-escalation is what is needed. I just have no idea what that looks like.
Yeah, and it's not going to trust us. And it's not going to happen anyway. I think in all honesty, we're in for another forever war. That just like Ukraine seems to be an forever war. Like Afghanistan was
wrapping up.
That's what. Hey, listen, they've been saying that for quite some time, bro. That's all I'm saying. If you they've been saying it for a long time. So we'll see how that
war works against the West. How about I'll end with that. The West needs this to be over sooner than later.
Yeah, but Zelensky got the power, and he's even anyway. Let's not get back into this. Yeah. We'll do it for another podcast. You can always follow us on Inner City Left. We're far more up to date, and yeah, we will give you guys another broadcast before the end of the week is over. I promise that. For Emoji Little Tanky Summer, I'm Amin TMK. This is the Inner City Left broadcast. Peace. System riding to the core. Yeah.
Reppin' Inner City Left.